I'm going to construct my dream car garage. When people normally do these sorts of videos, they give themselves a healthy budget of maybe £1 million or potentially £100,000 if they're feeling tight. Well, my aim is to find a dream car garage for just £10,000 while covering all the bases for a great mini car collection. I think one fundamental car needed in any collection is a big GT car for travelling down the French Riviera. Preferably it needs a V8 in it, and it also needs to be a convertible. Whatever I choose, I can always guarantee this is going to eat into the budget the most, but let's see what we got anyway. When we go into Auto Trader, we can filter the engine size above 4 litres, the body type is convertible, and the price under £6,000, and we get the Audi S4 as our first option. The engines in these are wonderful when it comes to sound. They're a bit like a German muscle car in this regard. The 4.2 litre V8 makes 239 horsepower and takes the car to 60 miles an hour in 6.2 seconds, so not exactly rapid, and especially by modern day standards. Reliability on these is pretty poor as well. I know the engines are notorious for timing chain issues. I'm also not convinced you could call the S4 a GT car either. Another option is the BMW 645Ci. I think the Bangle era of BMW has really grown on me in the last few years. I particularly like the sloping buttresses on the rear of the car, just like what you get with a Jaguar XJS. They're a bit more powerful than the Audi, with 362 horsepower and 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds, but it is a shame that every single one of these cars was spec'd in grey with a black leather interior. If you could get one in Oxford green or topaz blue, that would be a lot nicer. I'm definitely putting this one on a shortlist though. The Jaguar XK8 is definitely getting on a bit now. It was first launched back in 1996, making this car a whopping 30 years old now. I really like the interior wood trim and the leather you get, but from what reviews have said, it's a pretty claustrophobic cabin. The old XK is more than just show but no go. They're by far the best handling Jaguar from the era, and some reviewers have even noted it's pretty chuckable in the corners. The 32 valve V8, mated with the 5-speed gearbox, is also exceptionally smooth, and should cost less to maintain than the equivalent German V8. You often get them in better specs than the BMW as well. There is one on Auto Trader right now in British Racing Green, and it looks wonderful. It even gets the more powerful supercharged V8. It is pretty high on the miles though, granted. A more obscure choice is the Lexus SC. The engines are great, they're comfy, and far more reliable than the other cars on this list. The issue for me though is the styling. There is no way that front end is making it onto my dream car list. The final option then is the Mercedes SL 500. Personally, I think this is the best looking car on this list so far. If you've watched my video on the worst car facelifts, you know that I was pretty annoyed when Mercedes facelifted the R230 back in 2008 from what was a beautiful car to something extremely drab. The SL 500 comes with something called ABC suspension, which gives it adjustable suspension stiffness and an adjustable ride height. The SL 350 only came with regular coils. Along with the use of aluminium body panels, this gives the SL 500 an excellent ride quality and body control. But it does mean repairs are pretty costly when things inevitably go wrong. Much like the Jaguar, the engine and 5-speed gearbox combination is silky smooth. The SL 500 luckily escaped the cheapening of Mercedes-Benz interiors in the early 2000s as well, which makes the SL 500 all in all my favourite choice of GT car out of the selection here. This gold example on Auto Trader in particular has 91,000 miles and full service history for just £5,750. Now we've blown more than half the budget on one car, let's come down to earth for 1 second and look at our next dream car in the garage, a practical estate. Realistically, we can't be taking the SL 500 to IKEA to pick up the furniture for our dream house, can we? In short, there was no shortage of choice for practical estates under £3,000. But the one which stood out to me the most was the Peugeot 407 SW Executive. Before we start rolling your eyes, stay with me on this one. The 2.2 litre petrol engine found in the 407 SW is a bit of a forgotten gem. With 160 horsepower and 0 to 60 in 9.3 seconds, it's not exactly fast, but these engines are reliable, extremely smooth, and create a decent sound when you put your foot down with the windows down. If you want more power, you can opt the 407 with a 3 litre petrol engine and 211 horsepower. To drive, the 407 SW is no BMW, but it's still keen to turn into the corners. Ultimately, this car excels most on smooth long distance journeys though. The double glazing, the soft leather seats, and well screwed together interior make it a relaxing cabin to travel in, while the panoramic glass roof still makes it feel airy inside. I really do think that some of these early noughties French luxury cars are super underappreciated, and for £2,500 with only 64,000 miles on the clock, this car is a steal. So far, the two cars I've selected have been on the large side of thing. My final car in my dream car garage is going to be a fun little hot hatch though, but with only £1,750 remaining in the budget, it's going to be a struggle finding a cheap one. One option is the Renault Clio GT. The previous generation Clio 182 is well over the £2,000 mark these days, but the second generation GT model can still be bought for cheap. The Clio GT features the 126 horsepower engine from the Renault Sport Twingo, as well as some chassis tweaks to make the driving experience a little bit sharper. The GT is also very much a hot hatch when it comes to styling, with twin exhausts, a rear wing, side skirts and a more aggressive front bumper. On the inside, there's even some body-hugging sports seats. Another somewhat forgotten hot hatch, which wasn't completely clapped, was the Toyota Yaris SR. This car uses a larger 1.8 litre engine with 131 horsepower. Much like the Clio, it's quite a bit beefier looking than the standard Yaris, with aggressive flared bumpers, a large chrome tailpipe and big 17-inch alloy wheels and an 8mm lower ride height. The inside has notably less effort put into it, looking very much like a standard Yaris, but the Clio and rivaling Vauxhall Corsa VXR are notably better to drive as well, but I do still have a soft spot for these old Yarises. The final contender for my hot hatch pick in this dream car garage is the Ford Fiesta ST. This car uses a huge 2-litre engine in this relatively small shell. With 150 horsepower and 0 to 60 in 7.9 seconds, it's comfortably the fastest car out of the three. It's also the best handling, with a willingness to cock a rear wheel in the air if you're driving enthusiastically enough. I think it's the best proportion car out of the three as well, and it still looks beefy, with flared wheel arches, a large rear wing and 17-inch alloy wheels. Most Fiesta STs are on their last legs, having been driven by boy racers their entire life, but this two-owner example with 100,000 miles on the clock doesn't look too bad despite being a Cat M. Overall, bigger is better, and the more powerful Fiesta makes my final pick in the dream car garage. Admittedly, we are over budget by £250, but I'm sure some haggling on all three cars will bring us down to the £10,000 mark. Let me know in the comments if you change any cars in this £10,000 dream garage, and don't forget to check out my video on the worst car facelifts using the link at the end of the video.